It's been said that education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. Watch as we explore some of the technologies and programs inspiring growth and development.
The earliest years of a child's education can set the foundation for their understanding and success. According to the U.S. Department of Education, roughly 80% of America's children start kindergarten unprepared for curriculum.
As a kindergarten teacher, we talk about, say for instance, math, with counting. But what they don't understand, there's more behind that. It's not just learning, I can count. So as a parent, this is all they're seeing. But as a teacher, we want to put that together to say, there's a reasoning for counting. It's a concept of knowing more. The same with subtraction. It's a concept of knowing less. Then what do we do with that? That's the next step. So there's this scaffolding that we do, and that's what's important for parents to realize. You want more than just saying, I can count to 10.
Furthermore, data indicates that these disadvantages tend to disproportionately affect families with lower incomes.
When you're teaching in a more affluent neighborhood, they have PTOs, parent-teacher organizations, and they're able to do fundraisers and raise money for the school for technology and resources like that. However, in inner city schools or in lower income areas, unfortunately, there isn't as much parental involvement, and so the children don't have access to as many resources. When children and families have access to external resources like tutoring or tutoring services, they are able to catch up. However, in environments where children and families don't have access to that or can't afford that, that gap just continues to grow.
Research shows that preschool mathematics can be the precursor for how students will perform in most subjects down the road, including whether a student will drop out of high school.
With students who are already behind, they're feeling already overwhelmed, and usually by second grade is where I see as a teacher that confidence level. They sort of get into this mentality this fail mentality. They start to internalize actually at a pretty young age whether or not they are good or not at math.
Now, innovations in the industry are being used to break these fundamental issues, and advances in science and technology are providing new tools to empower children with learning.
We collected the most recent research on early age education, from counting through right up to algebra. What we really worked on was figuring out the appropriate order to teach the concepts in. It's really about getting the children to understand the language so that they can understand the teacher, which is the gap that the data shows kind of exists out in society right now. And because of this gap in language, what happens is the students that fall behind, they never really catch up, so they never really understand the teacher. And basically what the data is showing is that if children understand the teacher, then the education system works. I didn't need a lot of science to teach me that, so what we did was we set out to try to figure out how can we fill that gap very specifically.
The program uses in-depth knowledge of how mathematics should be taught in order to best help students fill gaps in understanding.
We're focusing on the essential topics that when they understand, the rest kind of makes sense. So for example, here's addition, but now we want to try to do addition with clock, or we want to try to do addition with money, or we want to try to do addition. So you're adding a trick up on top of addition, right? So if you don't have a strong foundation in addition from a conceptual perspective, and then you try to apply it somewhere else, now it's going to be confusing. What we help them do is we help them understand what addition is, and then they're going to get that practice in school. So what the latest science shows is that that's the best way to teach mathematics. And there's a lot of programs out there that already do that, but at the same time, those options are out of reach for most parents. What we've done is we've packaged that into an app that when we adapt to the student, when we find their initial level, we can start to catch them up on that language. And in fact, we teach them language that they hadn't learned yet. So as you see with young children, it's not uncommon for us to see them get to topics as advanced as multiplication and division. On average, children in our system learn 1.5 years of math when they use our system just 30 minutes per week. So recommended usage is just 10 minutes a day, 3 days per week. We've had over 100,000 students come through our system. We've taught over 135,000 years of mathematics.
Teaching math the right way not only enables students to fully comprehend what they are learning, it can also help them to advance to the next level quicker and can set them up for achievements in other subjects down the road.
My kids are both currently 5 and 7 years old. We started them on Elephant Learning 2 years ago, and we started them on this program because we really wanted to help them advance in their math skills, but also it turned out during this whole COVID situation, we didn't want them to fall behind. So what we've seen them do, for example, my current 5-year-old started on it when he was just about 3 years old. He gained 3 to 4 years in elephant age in the program because he was able to understand what they were asking him. It was him that was able to make that progress. And I think that's a huge difference between how Elephant Learning works and all other types of tutoring or coaching or any other types of apps that are out there that we saw, because the kid is actually doing the work. And that's ultimately what we want. We want them to be able to be self-sufficient, and that's what Elephant Learning's done for them.